So right now we know that Marvel Studios is working on an untitled secret project. Now, the untitled release date has been set for some time now. In fact, we have a lot of untitled Marvel movie release dates that are coming after Avengers Secret Wars. But two untitled and unspecified projects so far should be coming before the end of Avengers Secret Wars. Now, most of us think that Doctor Strange 3 is going to be one of them. And of course, we've heard things about the Midnight Suns, and we've heard things about Shang-Chi 2. But I actually think that getting a Thor 5 is the more likely option because of how he will connect to Loki. I know we've been through a lot since Jonathan Majors was fired from Marvel Studios, and Marvel Studios basically announced that Kang is gone by announcing that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be returning to the MCU as the one and only Doctor Doom. But he won't be the one and only one. Hopefully in the new MCU after Secret Wars, we do get a brand new Doom, played by a different actor. But in the meantime, Robert Downey Jr. returning as Doctor Doom is very exciting, and we're all very curious to see what they're going to do with this. But even though Loki had a lot of interactions with He Who Remains and Kang was a really big deal, they still set up Loki to be an incredibly important character to the overall story of the Multiverse saga. And the story of Loki and his role to play with Doctor Doom and the Avengers films, that can't be looked over, and it's gonna take some time to really play that story out. Right now, he is holding a lot of universes together. And if Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars really is going to go the way the comics go, then we are looking at sometime in the near future of the MCU, the destruction of the multiverse, which would directly impact Loki. Plus, not to mention, Loki can monitor all of the universes, perhaps all at the same time, since he's what's holding them together. So when Doom comes, Loki is going to start to see Doom come, and the TVA will most likely be informed by Loki to try and stop Doctor Doom. Now, he's going to be the main villain in Doomsday, of course, but also Secret Wars, so we know they're not going to stop him. But this means that Loki's going to have a pretty big role to play, and they're going to have to give him quite a decent amount of screen time. Plus, there's one thing that we have not seen yet. We have not seen our new Loki, the amazing one that we have from Loki Season 1 and Season 2, interact with Thor. At the end of Thor Ragnarok and the very beginning of Avengers Infinity War, we did see a Loki who really seemed to have turned good and really did seem to finally get along with his brother Thor. Unfortunately, that Loki really did die, but our new variant that we saw in Loki Season 1 has come a long way and is a hero now. We have to see him interact with Thor. Thor needs to see what his brother did become. And insiders have been stating, yes, we are going to see them interact in the Multiverse saga. And I think that this is actually going to come in Thor 5, especially hearing new rumors about a villain in the MCU, Rita Ora. Now, what's very interesting about this, as some of you might know, is that Rita Ora is the wife of Taika Waititi. So yeah, she does have an in at Marvel, but also keep in mind, because I want to give her the credit where credit is due, she is a very accomplished singer. She's a musical artist, and she does have a lot of great songs that I do enjoy. So she's already very famous on her own. I just want to emphasize that because yes, she is Taika Waititi's wife, but she has a lot of credentials on her own. However, the two of them are now coming together because it seems like Marvel Studios lately really has had a tendency of hiring really famous people to appear in the MCU. I mean, in Thor Love and Thunder alone, we got Christian Bale and Russell Crowe, two insanely huge actors. Now, I know a lot of people have been talking about how Thor 5 needs to not be directed by Taika Waititi because of how much of a bad job he did on Thor Love and Thunder, but in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if he did come back to direct Thor 5, despite what anyone says, even despite what he might say. Because let's be honest, when it comes to Marvel Studios and the movies, and not even just Marvel, but movies and shows in general, when people say things, we can't really take it at face value. Remember, Andrew Garfield's not the werewolf. He's not in Spider-Man No Way Home. At least that's what he said, but he was in Spider-Man No Way Home. He was the werewolf. And remember, the Russos said Avengers Endgame was not titled Avengers Endgame, but it was. So, main point, we can't take things at face value. However, there is something that you have to remember. One of the greatest Marvel movies in the MCU of all time is Thor Ragnarok. And we can't just pretend like he didn't do a great job directing that movie. Plus, Taika Waititi himself plays Korg. So he is probably going to be involved with the next Thor movie in some way, shape, or form. But I think he might be coming back to direct it. Not write it, but direct it. It's important to note that Taika Waititi directed Thor Ragnarok. He did not write it. He wrote Thor Love and Thunder and also directed it. So Marvel Studios could bring him back simply to just direct because he did do a really great job with Ragnarok. And he's been with Chris Hemsworth now for a very long time. It would make sense that the two of them would continue to work together. Now, obviously, they're going to change the tone of this. Chris Hemsworth said that's the only way he'll return. Plus, Marvel Studios and kind of just everybody at this point in time knows that the movie does have to be different. It has to be more serious, a lot less jokes, better jokes. They know all of that. So whatever they write next shouldn't be like Thor Love and Thunder. And I really do think Thor 5 could be one of these mystery projects because of how important not only Thor is going to be, but also Valhalla and Loki. We've heard multiple reports from some insiders stating that Valhalla is actually going to be kind of a big point of the next Thor movie. And that makes sense. Right now, Odin's there, Heimdall's there, Jane Foster's there. And in that post-credit scene, it did kind of look like we could see Yggdrasil in the background, which obviously Loki right now, he kind of is Yggdrasil. The multiversal tree, Loki is holding everything together. So there are a lot of connections here that we believe are going to be paid off in the MCU, but need to be explored in Thor 5. And this might be the last Thor movie for Chris Hemsworth. We're assuming he's going to show up in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. But with a new universe coming after Secret Wars and us getting somewhat of a soft reboot, we are going to lose characters and actors in that process. Some of them are going to retire from their roles. So Thor 5 might be the last time we actually see him, which is why I think there's a good chance that this is one of the projects they're going to have before we get to Secret Wars. I think Doctor Strange 3 and Thor 5 are the ones we're going to get. Shang-Chi is going to survive the reboot. We can do Shang-Chi 2 after Secret Wars. And we've actually heard from multiple different insiders that the Scarlet Witch solo movie is indeed coming after Secret Wars. She'll return in the Multiverse saga, perhaps in Doomsday, definitely by the time we get to Secret Wars, but she won't get her own project until after. So as far as story is concerned, it makes sense to do Thor 5 in the Multiverse saga because of his connection with Loki and how important Loki is going to be to the Multiverse saga. Ultimately, we will have to see all of those universal threads that Loki is holding on to break or die. And right now, Loki is kind of held in one spot, at least we think, because of what he is doing. And once they all break or die, that means he's free, and he'll probably go investigate what's happening, and perhaps he can go to Valhalla. And it would also make sense that he would go to his brother, which is how we could get the story involved with Thor 5. Plus, we could then finally get the reunion, and Thor could have a good final solo movie. And this movie will prepare him to go into the finale of the Multiverse saga, which is Avengers Secret Wars. So I really do think that Thor 5 is going to be one of the projects that we're going to get. Chris Hemsworth has talked about it a lot. Taika Waititi has talked about it. But again, I really wouldn't be surprised if Taika Waititi is going to return to direct Thor 5 and his wife could possibly play a villain in Thor 5. If she really is playing a villain in the MCU, it would make sense that she would play a villain in a movie that her husband is directing. Not to say that she couldn't play in another one, which she could, but I imagine they'd like to work together as husband and wife. That would be pretty cool. So that might, and I'm saying might because of course it's just a hunch, it's not confirmed by any means, but it might be an indicator that they're working on Thor 5. But even if Rita Ora isn't a villain in Thor 5 or the MCU in general, that still doesn't change the fact that Thor 5 should play a very important role in the overall multiverse saga. So I do believe it's coming, but go ahead, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I think the two movies are Doctor Strange 3 and Thor 5 that are currently untitled before the end of Secret Wars. I think these two make the most sense, but let me know what you think. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news, rumors, or leaks. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.